So hey guys, how are you all? Welcome to. So we are back with a brand new movie on what if Naruto was vice captain of Star Wars and got Harem movie. But before we start, be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video. Now let's begin the story. Uzumaki Naruto, the final shinobi, also means ninja, human tool of death. Of Konohagakure no Sato. The village hidden in the leaves. We meet again. Spoke a man in a bleached white lab coat. I can't say that it's a pleasant meeting, Amachi, replied Naruto. Said man grinned and looked at Naruto with a twisted glint in his eyes. Naruto had changed over the years. He was now 17 and was wearing a tattered red cloak with black flames at the bottom of it. He stood a strong 6 feet 2 inches and his eyes were a blend of violet and gold with cross-shaped pupils outlined in black. His Hite-8, forehead protector, symbol for what village a shinobi originates from, was around his forehead. The band was pitch black and the metal was a shining onyx with the white symbol of an arrowhead leaf. His nails were sharp and his skin was a light, tan color. Underneath his tattered cloak was some old Anbu, dark side, short for Ansatsu Senjutsu Tokushu Butai Ansatsu Senjutsu Tokushu Butai, literally meaning, special assassination and tactical squad, armor with a hole on the chest, surrounded in scorch marks. It was a strike that could only have been caused by a Chidori, 1,000 birds. Sasuke, Naruto and Sasuke had fought about 4 months ago. His eventual end was still fresh in Naruto's mind. How Naruto survived a Chidori to the heart, he perhaps would never know. However, he had an inkling feeling that it was because of Kyuubi, 9 tails. But, that was then and this is now. For the past few weeks, people had been going missing in Kuma no Kuni, land of bears. At first nobody paid attention to it. But, when an entire town, teeming with life, suddenly became barren overnight, it grabbed the attention of Hoshigakure no Sato. The village hidden in the star. After several of the ninja squads they sent to investigate just went missing, the Hoshikage, Star Shadow, Sumaru, decided it would be best to call upon some outside help. An old friend of his, Uzumaki Naruto, when Naruto heard what was happening, he came as quickly as possible. After gathering evidence for about a week and alerting his allies in Hoshi, Star, and Suna, Sand, he discovered where all these disappearances occurred. He tracked it straight back to the ghost town, and found that in the center of the village, there was a giant tree. It had cracks in places and much of it was petrified, though it constantly leaked sap that was quick to turn into amber when exposed to the elements. It was under the tree that the lab was located, so here Naruto stood facing an enemy of the past. Amachi. Amachi had performed experiments on people before in Naruto, with teammates Yamanaka Ino, Aburame Shino, and Mitarashi Anko, discovered him in Umi no Kuni, land of the sea. He had been working for Orochimaru, a psychopath, and was trying to make an underwater shinobi force. His plans were spoiled however and he was taken to a prison in Konoha, Leaf. But, when Pain, the supposed leader of Akatsuki, Red Dawn, attacked Konoha with his partner, Konan, the prison sector was destroyed. Since all of the prisoners were dead and much of the shinobi force was incapacitated, a body count never occurred. There was always a possibility that somebody could have survived, so, Naruto took the liberty to count the bodies. All of his major enemies were long dead. Since he hadn't seen Amachi for so long, he completely forgot to look for him. A big mistake on his part. Apparently, Amachi had transformed into his aquatic form to survive the rubble and not get totally crushed. In the chaos, he was able to escape. Naruto hadn't heard of him since. Well, until now, what's a psycho like you doing in a place like this? Asked Naruto, slowly reaching for a kunai. I'm creating a new form of life obviously, replied Amachi, shrugging his shoulders. Life? Mind explaining what happened to all those people? They were necessary sacrifices for a greater good. Naruto scowled and threw his kunai, slicing Amachi's cheek. No more games, Teme, bastard, what are you up to? Amachi paused and his grin faltered, only for a second. Tell me, do you remember the meteorite of Hoshigakure? The origin of its name? Hi, yes. Naruto replied, slight confusion was apparent in his eyes. Well, do you remember the stone of Gelel? Asked Amachi, his grin suddenly becoming more sinister. Ah yes, the stone of Gelel, how could he forget? See, a while back, there was a man named Hado. He wanted to use the stone of Gelel to take over the world, thus creating his utopia, a world in his image. The stone was used in ancient times as a means of furthering life and improving a civilization. It proved to be its undoing as the stone led to a war that destroyed the civilization. Only descendants of the survivors were able to harness the stone's true potential. When Naruto found the stone, he thought he had destroyed all remnants of it to prevent it from falling into enemy hands. Only later did he realize that it was impossible to completely remove it from existence. Only now did he realize that it had indeed fallen into the wrong hands. "What are you?" started Naruto. He was cut off by Amachi again. "Do you remember the chakra suppressing device from the rebels of Yuki no Kuni, the land of snow?" asked Amachi. If it was possible, he started to look frightening. The chakra suppressor was used against Naruto to prevent him from escaping while he was held captive. It was during a mission that changed the fate of all of Yuki no Kuni when he was successful in rescuing their princess and self-proclaimed greatest actor in the world. "You jut job, what are you getting at?" shouted Naruto. "It's simple, using hundreds of chakra-suppressing devices from Yuki no Kuni and the tree sap around us to bond the chemicals. I was able to use a piece of the Stone of Gelel to recreate the famed star of Hoshigakure no Sato. Taking their combined energies and those captured people as guinea pigs, I was able to combine it with my previous research to create a new species of human." The wall behind Amachi seemed to open up to reveal hundreds of people in cages. They all had green skin like scales and fins. They looked just like Isaribi, Amachi's first human experiment, in her transformed state. The only exception were the purple stripes on their faces. They almost looked like whiskers. "I call them Amachians. Aren't they perfect? I must thank you. The idea of whiskers on their faces originally came from you," he practically screamed. Naruto stood there, frozen in shock. Some of these Amachians looked miserable and were crying. It was just horrible. "Amachi, you fucking psychopath, what have you done?" Naruto almost whispered out. "Like I said before, I've created life," he replied, laughing. Naruto looked at the people and back at Amachi. Somebody was going to die in a very painful way. Naruto rushed forwards at a breakneck pace before bringing his kunai down. Amachi took out his own kunai and blocked it before delivering a devastating punch to Naruto's gut. Naruto coughed out a small amount of blood as he was flung back into a wall of the cave. There was a massive cracking sound. Naruto fell to the ground and slowly got back up before preparing a Rasengan, spiraling sphere, and leaping at Amachi. He never noticed the wall behind him had several spider webbing cracks on it. He never noticed some of the tree sap began leaking from some of the cracks. Clang. Kunai met kunai again as Amachi transformed into his improved form. Naruto grabbed Amachi by his coat and threw him against some circuitry. The steel bars that separated the Amachians from escape suddenly went down into the ground. Amachi turned to them and switched his gaze back to Naruto. "No, they weren't ready to be freed. I still have experiments to perform." Amachi charged at Naruto in a blind fury only to suddenly feel the life in him leave his body. Shocked, he looked down and saw that he was bleeding. A Rasengan had struck his stomach and lung. "Damn, you," he spoke before coughing up some blood and falling to the ground. "Took the words right out of my mouth," muttered Naruto under his breath before turning to the Amachians. "Come on, I have some friends up there who'll help you," spoke Naruto as he led the Amachians out of the area beneath the tree. There was another loud crack. Naruto and several Amachians turned their gaze to the spider webbing cracks. The room was beginning to fill with tree sap. "We need to get out of here now," shouted Naruto. He didn't need to say it twice. The Amachians were quick to run out from the cave beneath the tree. Above ground, several shinobi wearing symbols for Hoshi and Suna, both were longtime allies of Naruto. They helped the Amachians and guided them out. As one of the last Amachians ran out of the cave, a woman tripped and fell. Naruto quickly was at her side. "My ankle, I've twisted it," she called out. Naruto turned back to help her when a flood of tree sap came towards him. A pair of shinobi, each from Hoshi, was at the entrance of the cave. Naruto picked the woman up and tossed her to them. She made it just through the entrance and the shinobi caught her. The entrance suddenly caved in, leaving Naruto trapped. "So this is how it ends, huh? What a crappy way to die," thought Naruto just before he was engulfed in tree sap. Meanwhile outside the save, the cage, Wind Shadow, and Hoshikage had just appeared. "Naruto," whispered Gaara, cage of Sanagakure no Sato, the village hidden in the sand. "He was a hero to the end, and he was one of the greatest shinobi in the world," said Sumaru, holding back tears. "No, he was the greatest shinobi ever, and he always will be," spoke Gaara. There was a solemn nod among the entire group of people gathered. SW. CW. N. S. 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 Millions of years later, Dr. Nuvo Vindi was not pleased. First his lab was discovered by Jedi. Then the Jedi disarm all of his bombs. Then the Jedi destroy his hopes of his beautiful virus escaping when they not only find a cure but they set it aflame and destroy his lab in the process. Now he was trapped in a holding cell and being interrogated by a Jedi named Yoda. Apparently, what he had done was so serious, so dangerous, such a severe crime that they called upon the head of all the Jedi to interrogate him. He was inwardly debating whether or not he should tell the short, green person in front of him anything about his operations. How did you make the virus? Extinct it once was. Come upon remains you couldn't have, spoke Yoda. Let's see, I could tell him. If I do, then maybe they'll lessen my sentence from death by a dozen lightsabers in the gut or death by firing squad to life imprisonment or death by leaving me in deep space. Either way, I'm doomed, he thought to himself. Execution we will not perform, for it is not the Jedi way. Though, correct you are in assuming life in prison, Yoda spoke. Nuvo's eyes widened. It was like that shrimp read his mind, but, this shrimp. If he wasn't going to order his execution and he was going to live, he'd might as well speak. His virus was dead and he wasn't so. Nuvo let out a sigh. I found the fossil of a strange creature a few months ago. It was trapped inside of amber and appeared to have crash-landed on Naboo. I was curious and decided to extract a sample of blood from it. I discovered that its blood shared several properties of the Blue Shadow virus. So, I simply worked with that and several other plants on Naboo. Eventually, I had recreated the virus. A creature you say? Trapped in amber it was? Know now where it is, do you? Asked Yoda. It was in my lab when it was being destroyed. The amber is extremely durable, so, there is a possibility that the creature was not destroyed. Troubling this is, someone who has the amber can recreate the virus, yes. My job was to make the virus airborne. Anyone with the right materials, that creature's blood, and some biological intelligence could easily recreate the virus in its original form. Yoda nodded, accepting the information and left the room. And that's what happened, explained one clone trooper to another. Can't say I feel sorry for the guy. At least he's getting punished. I'd have preferred him getting blown apart, but looks like that isn't an option anymore, replied the other clone. Yeah, hey, did you hear that? There was an incessant beeping coming from a device in one of the trooper's hands. Yeah, I heard that. We found our creature, said the first clone before they ran over to a large, orange object with a humanoid shape inside. SW. CW. N. S. 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 Naruto slowly got up and stood in the sewer that was his mind. He walked towards the main source of light in the sewers and soon stood in front of a mighty cage. Inside the cage, a pair of red eyes opened. Ah, Kit, it appears that you've awakened, spoke a demonic voice inside of the cage. Awakened? I thought I was dead, trailed Naruto, confused. Oh, you're alive, Kit, and you're damn lucky to be alive at all, too. What do you mean? The stone, the star, and the tree sap were fused into your genetic makeup. With my chakra, I was able to turn it into a Kekkei Genkei, bloodline limit. The nature chakra around you helped me solidify the unique combination of chemicals and energies. The only thing that's kept you alive for so long was the amber surrounding your body and your one-of-a-kind chakra. The stone of Gelel, the star of Hoshigakure, and my chakra blended with the nature chakra and your chakra to keep you alive. If I'm correct, your average lifespan is around 80 years, age-wise. In battle, you're a force to be reckoned with. There's a catch to this. I'm sure of it. You're a demon that's wanted me dead so you could return to the Makai, realm of demons, for years. Why the sudden change of heart? Asked Naruto, incredulous. To his surprise, or perhaps his shock, Kyuubi actually laughed. Ha ha ha, oh, that's rich. Right you are, Kit. The catch is simple, it's been over 100 million years since you were originally trapped in that amber. Your planet was destroyed long ago by the remnants of Akatsuki when that woman you spared, Conan, and their true leader, Madara, activated their weapon. I wasn't around to stabilize it, so, it led to your planet's instability. After about 1,000 years, the Amachians and the remaining shinobi of your world were discovered and rescued by a nearby planet. About a century later, your home exploded and its remains were spread out far and wide. Because of your planet's destruction, you can't use nature chakra to such extreme points. Your strength is equivalent to 2 Kage shadows. And when you use the star chakra, stone of Gelel, and my chakra, your strength is equal to 4 Kage. Even then, you aren't the most powerful being in the galaxy. Though, you're strong enough to be a threat. You're going to be attacked as long as you are alive. That's the catch. Naruto stood, stiff as a board and totally unbelieving. He had been trapped for that long? Well shit. SW. CW. N. S. 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 What do you think it is, Master? Asked Ahsoka Tano as she observed the orange stone and the pitch-black figure within. I don't know, Snips. But whatever it is, Nuvo used it to make his virus. Replied Anakin Skywalker, we can't let the Separatists get their hands on it. It almost looks human, mused Obi-Wan Kenobi. Almost, said Anakin. General Kenobi, sir, we got that information you wanted, said a clone as he ran up to Obi-Wan. So how old is it? He asked. Well, sir, to be honest, I'm thinking we found an artifact here. Nuvo wasn't kidding when he said this thing was a fossil. It's got to be over 100 million years old. Way before the Jedi and Sith. Sir, it's the oldest thing that anybody's ever found. It's priceless. If it won't be used as a weapon, it can be used for a get-rich-quick scheme on the black market, replied the clone. The reactions of the 3 Jedi present were entertaining for the clone, to say the least. Anakin was stuttering. Ahsoka was gaping. Obi-Wan's mouth was hanging open and his eyes were wide. Sir? Spoke the clone. Obi-Wan was the first to snap out of his stupor. Right, thank you for that. You can return to your post. Yes, sir, replied the clone with a salute before walking back out of the room. All was silent once more. 100 million years? Shouted Ahsoka. That's just amazing, said Anakin. Yes, honestly, I didn't think anything could survive for that long. Apparently that doctor actually did some good. SW. CW. N. S. 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 Anything else I should know about? Asked Naruto. Take a look at yourself. You can use your reflection from the water, replied Kyuubi in a matter-of-fact tone. Naruto obeyed and immediately saw that there was something very different about him. For one thing, he had a fox-like tail. His ears were like a fox's and his hair had highlights of red. Another thing was that his arms, elbow down, and his legs, knee down, had odd purple and green patterns. His hands and feet were slightly webbed and his teeth were more like fangs. Did you do this? Yelled Naruto at the fox. Well, hi and ie. No, you see, in order for you to live for so long, I needed to alter your genetic code, as I said earlier. Take the nature chakra, my chakra, the stone of Gelel, and the star and you've got this transformation. You actually have the ability to grow wings out of your back for flight and regenerate almost immediately from attacks. As long as your head isn't damaged, you're almost invulnerable. But, you must take into account that your senses have increased drastically. You can see up to half a mile away perfectly, you can smell and hear things from an even greater distance. You're chakra sensitive to such a point that you can feel every single organism around you from a 1,000-mile radius. Well, that sounds useful. SW. CW. N. S. 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 General Grievous, it appears that the Jedi have acquired an artifact of some kind that my master would desire to have in his possession. Your mission is to retrieve it and eliminate any of the Jedi you see. Ventress will be accompanying you. Spoke a man in the form of a hologram. As you wish, Master Dooku, replied Grievous just before the hologram vanished. Set course for Naboo, the Jedi ship won't be far from it, called out Grievous. General, we've intercepted a transmission. Apparently, Skywalker is on board. Spoke a battle droid to him. Excellent, soon one of their strongest Jedi will be destroyed. SW. CW. N. S. 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 So, how long until I wake up? Asked Naruto. I'd predict about 20 minutes, replied Kyuubi. Anything else I need to know about? Hi. Expect the people around you to speak a different language and for their weapons and armor to render yours ineffective. Also, you won't be at full strength when you wake up. You must do everything you can to get out of the most likely dangerous situation you're about to wake up in. Find safety and wait for your power to return to you. Everything afterwards is up to you. Naruto smirked. I never thought I'd be saying this, but, arigato, thank you, Kyuubi-san. Kyuubi smirked back, it was my pleasure. Oh, and, one more thing, don't die. SW. CW. N. S. 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 There was a loud explosion. Obi-Wan and Anakin had left the room to assist with any problems. Ahsoka was all alone. Suddenly, there was a hissing sound. Ahsoka turned her gaze to the ceiling and saw a pair of red lightsabers. A circle of metal collided with the floor and the form of Ventress came down from the ceiling. Ahsoka's eyes narrowed and she activated her lightsaber. Her mission was to protect while Ventress was to destroy. The two forces collided. SW. CW. N. S. 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 Hey Kyuubi. I've got about a minute left, so I've got to get this question out of my system. What about ramen? Asked Naruto. What about ramen? Asked Kyuubi back. I mean, is it still around? There was a long pause. No, the reaction was instant as Naruto crippled to the ground and cried. Ramen. I will avenge you. Kyuubi just sweat dropped at the display. Suddenly, there was a flash and Naruto had vanished. Fate, if you're up there, I'd just like for you to know that I hate you. SW. CW. N. S. 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 Ahsoka and Ventress stood there, their lightsabers letting out a sickening hiss as neither side would give in. They leapt back from each other, then something unexpected happened. The amber cracked. Ahsoka and Ventress both turned their gaze to the amber and the dark figure within. Several cracks started to appear all over the amber. A chunk of amber fell off and crashed onto the cold, steel floor. A pair of eyes that were a strange cross between violet and golden suddenly opened. The amber around the figure suddenly exploded outwards and knocked Ahsoka and Ventress backwards into the wall. There he stood in a tattered red cloak with black flames on the bottom. Ventress couldn't help but feel impressed. This man, was giving off such an obvious aura of death, terror, and darkness. The man suddenly grinned stupidly and cocked his head to the side, his aura instantly vanishing and replacing itself with the aura of some kind of powerless, harmless creature. Great One, what are you? She asked as she got up from the ground. It was obvious to her that this being was some kind of ancient Sith. Why not treat it with respect? The omnipotent creature stood, arms crossed, and his tongue out in concentration with his eyes closed. He suddenly opened his eyes and put one of his hands in a pocket inside of his jacket. And pulled out an orange book. He opened the book and put it up to his face. His reply came in an unexpected way. Nani, what? Asked the being. Ventress raised an eyebrow at his questioning voice. She didn't know that word. Mentally she smacked herself in the head. Of course she wouldn't understand the word. This was a being from 100 million years in the past. He obviously had his own language. A most likely dead language. Her gaze turned back to the red-skinned Padawan. She smirked. A dark being like this would surely enjoy watching Jedi scum like this whore getting torn apart. She rushed forwards and prepared to decapitate Ahsoka with her two lightsabers. And suddenly found she couldn't move. What the hell? Her head spun around to see that the figure was standing there, his book was put away and he was restraining her from killing the Jedi before her. Why wouldn't he let her continue? She was going to shed the blood of the light, surely a dark being like him would understand her logic. So, why was he holding her back? First the amber, then the age, the book, the language. The darkness, now this. None of it made sense when she really looked at this from a logical standpoint. Before she could dwell on the subject further, she felt a chop to the back of her neck. She collapsed into a true world of darkness. The figure laid Ventress onto the floor in front of him and slowly walked away with both his hands on the back of his head, as though supporting it. His grin was present even as he casually strode out from the room. He turned left. Ahsoka snapped out of her stupor and ran out into the hallway to look for him. Nothing, the hallway was empty. Nobody was in it. This man was walking slowly, and when she looks in the direction he left in, he's completely gone. Ahsoka felt her eye twitch. This day was turning into a total mess. Snips. We could use some help down here, called out her master from her communicator. Ahsoka perked up and was quick to respond. I'm coming, master. And you won't believe what happened up here. Ahsoka ran down the hallway just as the ceiling behind her warped and shifted until there stood the figure from before, upside down and sticking to the ceiling. He smirked and silently followed Ahsoka. Things were about to get interesting. Okay, so, let's see what I've learned so far. Apparently, these people really do have incredible technology. However, I theorize that my sword can probably go up against one of theirs. But, there's more to it. I've got a shitload of power, but, I just woke up. My first priority is to get out of this metal thing and find the nearest planet I can. After that, avoid detection and train. I've been asleep for 100 million years. I'm facing a bunch of superpowered enemies with very few morals and who don't speak the same language as me. Finally, I've been sighted by one of them, and there's a fight going on right now that could blow this whole metal thing up and leave me to slowly suffocate in deep space before being dragged into and incinerated in the atmosphere of a planet. Another average day in the life of Uzumaki Naruto, I guess. Naruto thought to himself as he trailed the red Padawan, Ahsoka Tano. How appropriate that the amber I was sealed in was orange. I like orange. SW. CW. N. S. 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 Jedi. Spoke Grievous as he stared down Anakin Skywalker, his former master currently occupied by several droids. Grievous, growled out Anakin as he got into a stance, fully prepared to finish this war. Fully prepared to annihilate Grievous. As much as I'd love to kill you, I'm afraid that I won't have that opportunity. My demands are simple: hand over the artifact and I will only kill a few of the clones as I leave. What do the Separatists want with some orange rock? I bet you're trying to recreate the Blue Shadow virus, just like Vindy. Actually, no, I'm not sure what good that rock, as you put it, is so good for. But, whatever it is, it has grabbed the attention of the higher-ups. Now hand it over. Grievous demanded once more, his arms separated and each wielded a lightsaber. Never, shouted back Anakin before he charged forwards. Their lightsabers clashed. Grievous brought down a pair of lightsabers from Anakin's left. He was quick to block them, only to be forced to jump back so as to avoid the other two. Damn, I've got to be careful here. It's like I'm fighting four guys at once, thought Anakin to himself as he went on guard. Grievous chuckled as his upper arms spun in a fan-like motion, leaving his other arms to stab at Anakin. He charged in, his mechanical body moving at a frightening pace. Shit, though Anakin as he frantically tried to dodge the strikes. It was easy to see how Grievous killed so many Jedi. SW. CW. N. S. 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 The sight that greeted Ahsoka was not a pleasant one. In fact, a hallway full of droideka and B2 battle droids with all their blasters aimed at you is never a good thing. Jedi. Your friend isn't here anymore. Now it's you, me, and these droids, shouted the voice of Ventress from behind Ahsoka. This was really looking bad. Ahsoka turned her gaze from Ventress, both of her lightsabers activated, to the droids, and back again. Very bad. The door on her right opened up to reveal Obi-Wan and about a dozen or so clones. Okay. Things were starting to improve. Master Kenobi, what are you doing up here? Asked Ahsoka. Anakin's doing fine right now. I came up to see if there was anything else I could help with. We'll finish things up here. You go down and assist Anakin and the remaining clones if anything gets too bad. Spoke Obi-Wan before the clones began firing. A path was cleared and Ahsoka ran down the hallway. Nobody noticed as the ceiling seemed to shimmer again before speeding away down the same hallway Ahsoka intended on running down. SW. CW. N. S. 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 Foolish Jedi, You should have told me where the artifact was and I wouldn't have had to go through all this trouble of killing you. Not that I mind," spoke Grievous as he stalked towards a panting Anakin. He had pushed Anakin to his limits in this fight. It was starting to look very bad for him. "No, no way in hell. I can't die now. There's too much at stake. Obi-Wan, Ahsoka." Anakin picked himself up and charged forwards. "Padme." Grievous chuckled as he easily fought back. Apparently, he had come at a good time. Normally, it wouldn't be so easy to fight against Skywalker. Apparently, he was stressed and hadn't slept for days. He was slightly tired before the beginning of the fight. Now the only thing that kept him going was sheer willpower. Grievous had to admit, unlike other Jedi, Skywalker had earned his respect. Grievous blocked a lightsaber strike to his waist and brought another lightsaber down to decapitate Anakin. He'd be sure that Skywalker's lightsaber found a special home in his trophy room. He was interrupted in his thoughts when a green lightsaber interrupted the path of his blue lightsaber halfway to its location. Anakin looked up and was relieved to see that Ahsoka was able to help. While she should have been protecting the artifact, she was able to save his life. Thank God she got his call. He just wished that she had arrived sooner. Grievous snarled, openly outraged that he was interrupted in killing Skywalker. He quickly composed himself as he thrust one of his other lightsabers onto Ahsoka's own and forced her backwards. He grabbed Anakin by his back with his clawed foot and threw him towards Ahsoka. "Ah, another lightsaber to add to my growing collection. This must be my lucky day," he shouted before running at the two Jedi. "Master," called out Ahsoka. "He did something to my back. I can't get up," called back Anakin as he struggled to move. "Die," came Grievous's shout as he brought down his lightsabers. Ahsoka closed her eyes. Suddenly, there was a hissing sound. She heard her master gasp. Her eyes slowly opened. And there stood the figure from the orange rock. His cloak was still shifting from his movement. His sword was blocking all four of Grievous's lightsabers. It looked like he was putting some effort into it, but not enough to merit him as a normal person. Anyone else would have been struggling to hold back all four lightsabers. But he was only showing a minor discomfort. He reached up his leg and kicked Grievous in the torso, knocking him backwards. They suddenly felt something. A disturbance in the Force, perhaps? Or, more likely, it was the figure releasing a horrifying energy of darkness before rushing at Grievous. Grievous had little time to react as he brought up his lightsaber to block the incoming attack. His other three lightsabers swung in the figure's direction. He was quick to avoid it as he jumped, flipping mid-air, and sticking a landing behind Grievous before lunging at him. Anakin's eyes narrowed as he observed the weapon of the figure. It was like a lightsaber in the sense of energy coming from the weapon, but it appeared that the energy was being conducted along steel. God, it was like the figure was manipulating and conducting force lightning along his sword. The blade itself was obviously black, but the energy surrounding it was like several colors fighting for dominance. Red, purple, green, blue, and white. Never before had Anakin seen something so beautiful. The figure's blade came down and slashed off the horn-like ornament on the left side of his head. So beautiful and so deadly, it was a one-of-a-kind weapon. Who was this man? SW. CW. N. S. 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 Naruto panted as he ran forwards to clash with his four-armed foe. This guy had so much strength powering his attacks that Naruto's hands actually hurt whenever he blocked the attacks. Damn it, his hands were trembling from the strength of these blows. He hadn't felt this way since he blocked Suigetsu or Kisami's swords. It was like he was fighting four of the Kiri no Shinobigatana Nananan Shu, 7 shinobi swordsmen of the mist, at once. Damn it, the Kiri no Shinobigatana Nananan Shu were each incredible at what they did. They were the greatest warriors of their time, even Naruto could recognize it. Hell, Zabuza didn't just go down fighting, he killed at least 20 guys with a kunai in his teeth. The only reason their assassination attempt of the Mizukage, Water Shadow, failed was because Madara was posing as their cage. By all means, the attack should have succeeded, but Madara was beyond cage level. He was just short of being a god. Each of them had been at levels which rivaled the Sennin, Sage. While they were in their prime, 2 could rival a cage, so, doing the math, 4 could rival 2 cage, and Naruto, just waking up, only had the strength of 1 cage. In short, he was outnumbered 2-1 and fighting against an opponent who never tired and apparently could use those legs to cause severe damage. That immediately jumped the level of threat from fighting 2 cage to fighting 3 cage. Meaning, that if Naruto didn't try to go all out, he could very well die, because the home of all chakra, his planet, was destroyed. He couldn't go as fast as a normal shinobi. By all standards, he was weakened. And he knew it all too well. SW. CW. N. S. 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 Master, what is he? He's been fighting Grievous to a standstill. Is that even possible? Ahsoka asked Anakin. Snips, after everything that's happened today, I don't think it's impossible for anything to happen. And, from the looks of it, he's in trouble. He looks tired and is barely matching Grievous. It also looks like the general knows this. His goal is to detain this guy, though, so he just might be going easy on him. Snips, I can't move. But, I think it would be a good idea to help him, replied Anakin. Before Ahsoka could reply, Anakin cut her off. Look, I know that he has some kind of dark aura, but there's something off about him. If he was with them, he wouldn't be attacking Grievous. Also, I don't think that Jedi or Sith existed in his time. Whoever he is, he's an ally for now. And if the Separatists or Dooku get a hold of him, I don't even want to imagine having to fight him. Ahsoka paused and looked back to the fight between Grievous and the figure. She gave one last look at her master before she ran into the fray. She did this not because her master told her to, but because she felt she owed this guy. After all, it isn't every day that somebody saves you from being cut to pieces by somebody like Ventress. SW. CW. N. S. 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 Grievous had mixed feelings for the day he had been having. His original mission was to find some rock and capture it from the Republic. He discovers that Skywalker is aboard the ship he would be attacking. He kills several clones and finally gets to duel Skywalker. His Padawan interferes. Before he can kill them both, further interference occurs. Then, just as he's about to end somebody who was even more powerful than Skywalker, his Padawan, once again, interferes. The word best used to describe his day would most likely be along the lines of annoying or disturbing. Annoying because just as he's about to accomplish something, something else interferes with the something he's trying to somehow accomplish. Disturbing because he discovered a new enemy wielding something that yet wasn't, a lightsaber and had somehow topped every one of his expectations. This new enemy would most likely prove himself to be a threat in the future, so it would only make sense to kill him. No more going easy, no more playing games. Grievous was officially pissed and was going to go all out in an attempt to decimate these two enemies. Then he'd kill Skywalker and go off on his merry way. Yes, their lightsabers would make excellent trophies. The mysterious one's weapon would be given a special casing and a special place in his trophy room. He already decided it would be his favorite trophy and he hadn't even claimed it yet. Yet, SW. CW. N. S. 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 Naruto's gaze turned slightly to his left. He saw that the same red girl he had saved earlier was currently attacking this white monstrosity with her green color sword. Naruto resisted the urge to smirk as he brought up his sword and charged. Ah, yes, his sword. You see, way back in Naruto's Genin days, he had a mission. His job was to protect the runner of the Todoroki Shrine race. During the mission, they encountered a former Konoha nin who went by the name of Rokusho Aoi. Aoi, while still in Konoha, had stolen the Raijin no Ken, Sword of the Thunder God. It was the same sword that was used by the Naidame, second, Hokage no Konohagakure no Sato, Senju, Tobirama. Naruto, through the use of the Yondaime's, forts, famed jutsu, technique, was able to break through the blade of lightning and killed Aoi. Sasuke used a chikudo that was made with chakra-enhancing metal. It would take his chakra, conduct it, and use it accordingly. Through that sword, he was able to create dozens of variations of the Chidori. After killing Aoi, Naruto kept the sword for safekeeping. When Sasuke was killed, he thought back to the sword and decided, why not? Taking the Raijin no Ken apart and melting down Sasuke's chikudo, Naruto combined them and blended them with nature chakra and the Kyuubi's energy. The star chakra and stone of Gelel further bonded with the blade through the tree sap. The end result was the sword he now held. With a flick of the wrist, it would go from what looked like the handle for a normal katana to a black blade with several energies crackling around it. Not even the Rasengan could damage it, he had tried. What made it better was the fact that, to everyone else, it was just another sword handle. It took hours of sealing work in order to create a sort of flick summon blade. Hours, to others that would be amazing. But, if you did the math, for Uzumaki Naruto to have taken so long on such a project would be the equivalent of somebody like the Yondaime taking 50 years to complete the same job. All in all, it was difficult. But, that was then. Naruto blocked one of Grievous's lightsabers again only to see another lightsaber heading for his gut. And this is now, SW. CW, N. S, 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 SW. CW, N. S. The lightsaber pierced the figure's gut and for a second all was still. Ahsoka stared and blanched as Grievous started to cackle. His cackling was cut short when the figure he had killed suddenly vanished in a blast of white smoke. What the? Grievous started, only to be cut short as the figure suddenly charged out from the shadow behind him. It was pure instinct that saved Grievous from being impaled through the heart. Grievous jumped back just as the figure spoke. Narutopo. Hijutsu. Kagebunshin no Hirubansho. Boka no Jutsu, Naruto style. Secret Jutsu. Shadow clone to leech all creation. Attack prevention technique, he called. Nobody understood what he said. It is a mouthful, isn't it? Asked the figure in a strange language. They still didn't understand him. Nani? Is there something on my face? He asked again. His aura of terror had been replaced with one of a confused, foolish teenager. His face suddenly lit up in a childish manner and, despite the situation, Ahsoka almost found herself laughing. Oh, I get it, you don't know what I'm saying. Well, looks like that fox was right. I wonder if it would be difficult to understand what the hell these people are saying, he continued. Grievous looked like a cross between irritation and anger. Anakin was watching this with his mouth hanging slightly open and his eyes staring, unblinking. Grievous finally lost his temper and charged at the figure, slashing wildly. Immediately, the calm and carefree attitude of the figure vanished and was replaced with the same dark aura from before. The figure blocked several strikes that came at him before he brought up his leg and kicked two of his hands, chopping off a third. His tail grasped one lightsaber, he held another lightsaber in his left hand, the final lightsaber was clenched in his teeth. He spun his sword around and held it in a reverse grip as with the lightsaber in his left hand. Then the lightsaber clenched in his teeth revealed itself to be double-sided when, out of the other side, another beam of light came. Grievous looked at the green lightsaber in his remaining hand before cursing to himself. He had lost track of the double-sided lightsaber and it had cost him. Grievous let out a snarl as both he and the figure charged at each other. Their blades clashed time and time again. This being, though powerful, has demonstrated himself to be an obvious fool. So, how can he use a style like this? It's unheard of, impossible, thought Grievous to himself. The answer was simple, the figure wasn't great with a lightsaber. He was great at improvising, though. Like that time with Zabuza and the Fuma Shuriken, Windmill Shuriken. Good times, thought the figure to himself. Wait a minute, that's it? Get ready you damned robot, you're in for a blast from the past. SW. CW, N. S, 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 SW. CW, N. S. What is he? Murmured Anakin under his breath. It was impossible to make anything of him. But, whoever he was, he apparently was now using an unheard-of style of lightsaber combat with his teeth and tail assisting him. No, it wasn't a style. If he looked closely enough, he could see some jerky and sudden movements. This thing was improvising. He had to be the greatest genius with a lightsaber for countless years. SW. CW, N. S, 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 SW. CW, N. S. Naruto was panting even as he jumped back to avoid a downward slash from Grievous. It was time to do something unexpected. Naruto charged his mouth with wind chakra, puffing out his cheeks, and he spat out the double-sided lightsaber at Grievous. The lightsaber had turned into a spinning blade of destruction as it honed in on its target, Grievous. Grievous was lucky to avoid the lightsaber as he had jumped over it, then something unexpected happened. Another lightsaber was heading at him, identical to the one he had just avoided. Grievous panicked, only for a second, before throwing one of his lightsabers at the double-sided saber heading for him. Knocking it off target, Grievous was able to catch it with very little trouble. There was a large puffing sound and Grievous turned his head to see the first double-edged lightsaber vanish in a blast of smoke. In its place was the figure. Naruto went into a backflip and, using wind chakra, increased his momentum. Using his tail, he threw the lightsaber it wielded straight at Grievous. Because Grievous was in the middle of the air, he couldn't dodge it and could only watch as the double-edged lightsaber and the hand that held it were both destroyed by a single lightsaber that moved faster than his eyes could track. Naruto landed on the ground and charged forwards again. Grievous landed just in time to use his remaining toe lightsabers to block Naruto's strikes. They both pushed forwards, neither side gave in. It was a much more even fight now. Naruto gritted his teeth. This was really starting to become difficult. Grievous wasn't letting him gain any leverage and Naruto was starting to find that he was tired. But Grievous was a freaking machine. Last time Naruto checked, machines didn't get tired. Naruto took a moment to stare into Grievous's eyes. That moment was all he needed. You see, after Naruto's fight with Sasuke, he was left blinded and without any other choice but to take Sasuke's Sharingan eyes. This normally would have killed somebody, but with Kyuubi, the creator of the Sharingan, inside of him, it was easy. But he only had access to a single ability. Amaterasu, illuminating heaven, was too chaotic because his wind affinity towards chakra would cause it to go out of control and ultimately kill him. Susanoo, he with the ability to help by all means, was impossible because he already had Kyuubi residing within his body. Susanoo was a being of equal power. It was disabled because it would not only shorten his lifespan, it would surely lead to his death on the battlefield. Kyuubi's energy in close proximity with those two attacks would certainly be his end. Kamui, Might of the Gods, was a teleportation jutsu, because the Shikifuin, Dead Demon Consuming Seal, was activated right after the Hiraishin no Jutsu, Lightning Thunder God technique. Another of the Yondaime's famous jutsu, the temporal rift formed between the two jutsu served the purpose of making the seal perfect. Unfortunately, Naruto would never be able to do something like the Hiraishin or Kamui, a necessary sacrifice, he supposed. However, there was one attack he could use. He hated it and only ever used it once. But it was damn effective. Tsukuyomi, Moon Reader, murmured Naruto. SW. CW, N. S. 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 It was all so fast, Grievous never even knew what hit him. He was looking into his target's eyes when suddenly the odd shape in them began to spin. He blinked and when he opened his eyes he was shocked to see that he was strapped to a wall. Everything was black with some kind of white outline. And, there was a red moon in the only visible window, casting a blood-colored light into the room. A door opened and his opponent walked in. Then, in plain basic he spoke. Welcome to the realm of Tsukuyomi. Here, I am God and nothing can save you. For the next 72 hours, you will be stabbed by every innocent you've ever killed. Grievous stared incredulously, then he began to chuckle. And he began to laugh. Such a thing is impossible. How do you plan to do something like bringing the dead back to life? He challenged. You are not a god, you are a great fool. Naruto simply walked out of the room. A second later, the door opened again to reveal a headless clone trooper with a hole where his lung should have been. There was a lightsaber in his left hand, he held it up. And stabbed. SW. CW, N. S. 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 Grievous was panting. That was everyone. Every single person he had killed. He didn't know how this creature managed it, but somehow he brought the dead back to torture him. That had to have been at least 2 days. The figure opened the door and walked back into the room. 71 hours, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds remaining, he walked back out. A few seconds later, the door opened and the headless clone trooper walked in holding a lightsaber. He did the only thing he could, he screamed. SW. CW, N. S. SW. CW, N. S. SW. CW, N, S, SW, CW, N, S, SW, CW, N, S, SW, CW, N, S. Anakin and Ahsoka were watching the fight intently. The figure and Grievous had just clashed and their blades struck each other. It was clear that neither side would give in. When Grievous and the figure locked eyes, he seemed to let out a choked cry of pain before collapsing to the ground. The figure deactivated the lightsaber, threw it in the air, and cut it in half. He took a look at his strange sword and flicked his wrist. White smoke surrounded it and the blade vanished like it was never there. Only the hilt and handle remained. He took it and put it in his black coat before turning and walking away. Grievous didn't move. "What just happened?" asked Ahsoka to Anakin. "I don't know, Snips, I just don't know," he replied. "You talking about me?" asked the figure from behind him. Startled, they spun around. There stood the figure. He blinked a few times. "Nani? Was it something I said?" asked the figure. Ahsoka and Anakin shared a look. "Who are you and how do you know basic?" asked Anakin, eyeing the figure wearily. The figure blinked innocently and pointed a finger at himself. "Who, me?" Anakin scowled. "Yes, you. Well, that's simple. See that white demon over there?" asked the figure pointing to Grievous. "I think his name was. Anyway, I used a technique to read his mind. I learned basic from it. It was that easy." He ended his explanation with a shrug. "And why did Grievous collapse?" "Not that I'm complaining," spoke Ahsoka. "I tortured him for a good long time. Trust me when I say that he caught me on a bad day," replied the figure. "What's your name?" asked Anakin. The figure smirked and started to do a ridiculous sort of dance. "I am the great Kitsune Sennin, Naruto Uzumaki." Out of nowhere, confetti suddenly appeared. Arrow Sennin, perverted sage, was always good at entrances, even if they were a little lame, Naruto thought to himself. There was a collective sweat drop among the onlookers. Anakin just stared before he pinched the bridge of his nose and sighed. He's an idiot." "So, Naruto, what are you?" asked Ahsoka. Naruto got out of his ridiculous pose and looked at her. "I'm a shinobi, of course," responded Naruto. "I don't expect you to know what a shinobi is, so I'll give you the whole thing summed up. See, a shinobi is someone who is capable of using incredible abilities. They have a code of conduct and a rulebook. But they don't really follow it that often. As a result, no two shinobi are alike. One could be a psychopathic killer, another could be the hero of the village. There really are no boundaries to it. Say, what's the nearest planet to this place?" asked Naruto. "Naboo," spoke Anakin. "Great," called Naruto before running off in what appeared to be a random direction. Anakin and Ahsoka turned their gaze back to Grievous and saw that he was gone. SW. CW. N. S. 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 "Let's see, escape pods, ah, here we are," called Naruto. Suddenly, the sense of impending doom came upon him and he ducked. He turned to see Grievous standing there. "You just won't stay dead, will you?" asked Naruto before pulling out his sword. "Die," he shouted before charging at Naruto. Naruto smirked and disappeared in a puff of smoke. Grievous, however, lost his balance and fell forwards into the escape pod. There was a clicking sound and the door behind him shut, allowing the pod to fall into deep space. After a few seconds, he heard a hissing sound and looked down to see what appeared to be a piece of paper that was on fire. Naruto meanwhile watched from another escape pod as Grievous's own suddenly exploded. "He's not getting out of that," muttered Naruto. A large white object flew towards him coming from the explosion. "He's not alive." The object lashed onto his escape pod again and Grievous's head was suddenly visible through the glass. Naruto locked eyes with him and sighed. "He'll never learn." Tsukuyomi. SW. CW. N. S. 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 Grievous awoke to find himself in his damages state inside of the same room from before. Naruto stood in front of him. "For the next 72 hours you will be thrown into a star, over and over again," spoke Naruto. The room vanished and Grievous found himself in deep space heading towards a sun. "No," he screamed, even as he felt the metal on his destroyed body melt, burn, and shatter. SW. CW. N. S. 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 Grievous slipped off of the escape pod. Naruto smirked. Computer thingy. Set course for Naboo, called Naruto. The escape pod turned and flew towards said planet. Things were looking up, thought Naruto before passing out from chakra exhaustion. SW. CW. N. S. 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 This is chapter 2. This is the end of it, I mean. Not bad, right? And no flaming for Naruto killing Grievous. It had to be done. Besides, I have an idea for a villain that'll take Grievous's place. The arrival of Naruto has completely thrown off the chronological Star Wars canon. Yeah, well, that's all I've got for now. Please, I need reviews for this story. As many as possible. PM your friends and tell them about this. I want people to read this work. I can't stress that enough. Well, I'm off, up, and away. Anakin. Are you alright? Asked Obi-Wan as he ran to Anakin and Ahsoka. He'll be fine after he gets some help. Answered Ahsoka for Anakin, as he had passed out. What happened? Where's Grievous? I think that our fossil killed him. Obi-Wan fixed Ahsoka with a stare. What? He asked, unsure of what he heard. Our fossil wasn't as dead as we thought. It turns out that he was alive. He just must have been sleeping. He broke out of the amber and easily defeated Ventress. Then he fought against Grievous. I think he's dead now, but our friend is currently heading to Naboo. We can't let him go to Naboo. There is still the possibility of Separatist forces down there, if he's captured. I don't think that the Separatists could capture him if they tried, responded Ahsoka. I didn't think it was possible for the Blue Shadow virus to be brought back into existence. There is always the possibility that he can be captured. That means we'll have to go after him, but not now. Right now we need to help Anakin, said Obi-Wan. Even as they dragged Anakin, Ahsoka couldn't help but wonder what that man, Naruto, was. SW. CW. N. S. 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 The minute that Naruto opened his eyes, he immediately wished he didn't. Everything hurt. His ears were ringing, his eyes stung, his sinuses felt like they were burning from everything. Finally, he knew where everything was, and it caused one hell of a headache. Why was he, oh, right. Enhanced senses. Of course it would hurt like hell at first. He needed to adjust to it before all else. Yet, this brought up another question. Where was he? Naruto wasn't too willing to blind himself when he opened the escape pod and walked out. He immediately shielded his eyes and passed out. SW. CW. N. S. 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 Kyuubi laughed at his container as he was on the floor before him, in agonizing pain. What's the matter, Kit? He asked mockingly, couldn't handle the advanced senses. What do you think, Teme, bastard, shouted Naruto. Kyuubi laughed. Relax, Gaki, brat. You'll be like this for about a week before you get used to it. If you really want to get used to the enhanced senses, you could always use your Kagebunshin no Jutsu, shadow clone technique. I mean, when they dispel, you get all the information they gathered. Thus, you get used to your senses faster. Kyuubi told Naruto with a slight shrug. Or, at least, what looked like a shrug for a fox. Naruto nodded, accepting the idea. SW. CW. N. S. 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 In real life, Naruto woke up and tried to ignore the pain as he made the cross-shaped hand seal. Kagebunshin no Jutsu, he shouted. The area was filled with 500 Naruto clones. He clones dispelled after 5 minutes, And Naruto immediately passed out from pain 500 times worse than what he had originally been put through. SW. CW. N. S. 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 What the fuck, Kyuubi Teme? Shouted Naruto. Kyuubi laughed at his jailer's predicament. I suppose I should have warned you that your Kagebunshin were in an equal predicament as your own. When you dispelled them all, their pain went back to you. Add in the mental backlash and I'm afraid that you'll be in a comatose state for the next 3 days. Luckily, when you wake up, you'll be fine and fully adjusted to the heightened senses. Naruto nodded, accepting it. I've been trapped in amber for over 100 million years, I can wait another 3 days, he said. Hi, say, you know that your body can't move on its own accord, right? Asked Kyuubi. Hi, Naruto didn't like where this was going. Well, I just sensed somebody pick up your body. Kit, you're screwed if whatever picked you up is hostile. For a moment all was silent. Shit, cursed Naruto. Don't worry, it feels like whatever rescued your ass is what these people would call force sensitive, you'll be fine. Then why the hell did you make me worry? I thought it would be funny. The string of curses that followed would never be heard by the outside world. SW. CW. N. S. 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 Naomi Uzukuni sighed as she dragged a large blonde man into her tent. Naomi had just turned 9. She had dark blonde hair that just managed to reach her shoulders and her skin was a slight shade of green with scales. There were purple, tiger-like stripes on the backs of her arms and fronts of her legs. An obvious sign of being an Amachian, she was about 4 feet 6 inches and had dark brown eyes with blue pupils. Her cheeks each had a bright orange diamond symbol. Her forehead had a much smaller bright yellow diamond. Aside from that, she wore a gray t-shirt and a pair of brown shorts. Bandages were wrapped around both of her hands. She was wearing a white sash with feathers sticking out of it that went around her waist and over her left shoulder. A small sword was on her back. Naomi sat down in front of the person she had saved. She looked at his skin. How odd, it started off tan and normal, like a human's, and then it turned into Amachian skin for his forearms and legs. If she didn't know any better, she would have thought he was an Amachian. But, the ears and tail threw off that theory entirely. What are you? She murmured. She sniffed the air for a few seconds. You're not an Amachian. We Amachians enjoy swimming a lot. I may be an exception just because I don't enjoy swimming as much, but I still smell a little bit like water. You have no scent of water on you at all. She then began to poke his tail. There are loads of species with tails that are sentient, but none of them have tails like a fox, or ears. She added as an afterthought. She reached a pair of fingers over his eyelids and pulled them apart before looking closely at the blonde man's strange eyes. Wow, neat. I didn't think anything in the entire galaxy had eyes like that, she said. She quickly thought about what she looked like. I wish I had eyes like that, she spoke quietly with a pout as she crossed her arms. She sat down pretzel style and started to really think. Her eyes were slowly drawn to his forehead. They widened comically before she ran over and started to stare at the leaf symbol. The symbol of the ancient village, okay, now I'm curious. Fess up. Who are you? She shouted at the blonde man as she shook him around. No response. Well, she couldn't say she expected him to suddenly wake up and say he was 100 million years old. She knew very little of Amachian history. In fact, hardly anybody knew where the Amachians first came from. But, it was a fact that their species was the oldest in the galaxy, except for humans. But, that was a story for another time. When Naomi saw the symbol on the blonde man's headband, she was forced to wonder just how old this man was. She took a deep breath and calmed down. Okay, from what she could tell, the man was in a coma. He'd be out for a few days and when he woke up he'd be alright. So, now what? SW. CW. N. S. 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 Mace Windu was always a unique Jedi. From a young age, he knew he was different. Not in a negative way, by any means. In fact, he was probably one of the best Jedi in the entire order. His ability to see the shatter points in the Force proved to be an incredibly great asset. Shatter points in the Force are just that, points that are cracked and can be filled. These cracks, when seen, enable the user of them to see into the future, to an extent, and even alter it. It further enables the user to see certain abilities of their foes and, more often, their weaknesses. When he heard the report from Ahsoka and Anakin, he had absolutely nothing. For the first time since he could remember, the shatter points of the Force weren't responding in any way to this blonde man. He had no destiny, except the destiny he forged for himself. He simply couldn't see the future of this man, and it annoyed him to no end. Who are you? He thought to himself. SW. CWN. S. 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 Naomi smirked as she finished tying the blonde man to a tree. Picking up a bunch of fruits, she decided to release some frustration and threw them at the prone blonde's head. Already, a single day had passed and she was bored. You know, Blondie. I think that we're in for a pretty good friendship, you and I see. I never knew my parents. I only knew that they were Amachians. After I found a holocron, I learned a little more about the Amachians, but not that much. Most of what I know, I've taught myself. I guess I have to thank you since you're the first person I've ever told this to. Then again, maybe I shouldn't thank you since you aren't even awake. Naomi ended with a shrug. So she sat there, and sat there, and sat. I'm bored, she finally cried out to the heavens. SW. CW. N. S. 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 So, Grievous is dead? Asked Count Dooku to Ventress. Ventress nodded once. Her escape had not been an easy one. In fact, she didn't think she'd be able to get out alive a few times. Who killed him? Asked Dooku. It was now Dooku's turn to be surprised. He heard reports from droids that were slightly damaged, but to hear it from Ventress confirmed the rumors. He mentally cursed. Grievous was one of his best, and he died. I do not know his name, Master. However, I do know that he was the man from the Amber. Somehow, he has been hibernating. He awoke and he was able to defeat both myself and Grievous. From what I understood, he wasn't even at full strength when he accomplished it. But, there is good news. Though I am unsure of whose side he wishes to serve in our war, he has an aura of darkness that may even rival your own, said Ventress, obediently. Now that was something that made Dooku slightly worried. His master could use somebody of that caliber, more so him to replace Grievous. But, there was always that other one, Experiment 0X. About 30 years ago, a group of scientists from all over the galaxy banded together to create a super weapon that would allow them and the people they worked for to reign supreme. The plan failed when the Jedi discovered them and attacked. Though the scientists died, their prototype didn't. They were able to create an artificial life form that could turn into a unique putty substance. Everything about the organism was a shape-shifting material. It would always settle for a human male shape, but wore black battle armor everywhere. There was a single opening in the entire armor and that was the neck area. When it wanted to leave the armor, it would leak out like blood and reform elsewhere. The armor would activate from remote control and continue like he would. It would become the perfect spy and decoy. What made Zero X truly special were not its putty abilities, rather, it was the fact that Zero X was force-sensitive. It made a life out of hunting down other force-sensitive beings and mutilating them. If they had a lightsaber, he'd take said lightsaber with him. Then there was his partner in crime, a fabled immortal warrior. Dooku knew that trying to get either of them to the side of the Separatists would be difficult as their approach to all issues usually revolved around, shoot first, shoot some more, keep shooting until everybody's dead, and ask questions. Well, X's partner had that approach. Either way, it was worth a shot. They needed a new general anyway. SW. CW. N. S. 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 The amazing, sleeping, blonde man is snoring. Take note that he is most likely the most boring thing on Naboo, spoke Naomi in a tone similar to something you'd hear from a documentarian. It has been 2 days and there have been no movements whatsoever. Naomi let out a yawn. Fascinating, she ended, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Her eye twitched as she let out a cry of frustration. "Wake up already!" she screamed at the blonde as she grabbed his front and shook him around. She sat down, unsuccessful, and started to grumble about her failure to wake him up. She sighed. "Patience, Naomi, just keep calm and everything will be fine," she told herself. She sat still and meditated like that for an hour. "Screw patience," she suddenly screamed before kicking the blonde in the side. "Wake up, you damn fucktard." Such awful language for a 9-year-old too. "Damn it, if you don't wake up, then bad things are going to happen," she warned the comatose blonde. How right she was. "Fuck," she cried before kicking him again. And this was Naomi Uzukuni, untrained user of the light side of the Force. Naruto's eyes flickered open as he looked around. He appeared to be in some kind of tree hollow. "Finally, you're awake," said a female voice from his left. Naruto looked in that direction and saw a girl with blonde hair and scales. "My name's Naomi. What's yours and why are you wearing one of the ancient symbols?" asked the girl. Naruto blinked. "Anyo, my name's Naruto, and, are you talking about my forehead protector?" "Well, if that metal thing on your forehead is your forehead protector, then what's the symbol on it? Why do you have an ancient Amachian symbol on your head?" "It's the symbol of the Leaf Village, Konoha, and my home." "Wait, what do you mean ancient symbol?" "That symbol of leaf is said to have only existed millions of years ago. How do you have it?" "I've worn this symbol proudly since I was 12 years old. This signifies me as a shinobi." "Shinobi? What kind of shit are you pulling? Shinobi are beings of myth." "Then how do you explain this?" asked a voice from behind her. Naomi spun around and saw Naruto standing right behind her. She turned her gaze back to where she first saw Naruto and he was still there, before puffing out of existence in a blast of white smoke. "How did you?" she started before being cut off by Naruto. "I asked first. How would you explain that?" asked Naruto. Naomi just glared. "Hey, you know something? I can't explain it, but while I was asleep, it felt like I was being hit by something. Pretty funny, right?" asked Naruto, chuckling. Naomi paled considerably before letting out a nervous laugh as she scratched the back of her head. "Yeah, pretty funny." Naruto just grinned before getting a neutral expression. I can feel her chakra. It has to be at least genin level," he thought to himself. "She needs to be trained. If she isn't, in a time of war like this, she needs to know how to defend herself." "So, what planet are you from?" asked Naomi. "I don't really know. I don't think that my people ever named it," Naruto said with a shrug, "but, if I had to guess, it would be Ibonese." "Ibonese? Not Ibonese too, but, just Ibonese?" asked Naomi. "Yeah, why? The Amachian people come from a planet called Ibonese too. I myself am an Amachian. You look sort of like one." "A Amachian?" stuttered Naruto questioningly. "You've never heard of one? Well, I can understand that. We aren't the most spoken of species in the galaxy, but we're the oldest, next to humans." Naruto nodded. "Hey, have you ever been attacked?" asked Naruto. "What would give you that idea?" asked Naomi. Naruto simply pointed to the sword on her back. Naomi got an awkward expression. Well, yes. I got this sword when somebody attacked me and fell off a cliff by accident." Naruto stared calmly before asking, "Who attacked you?" "A dark Jedi, he had a green lightsaber. I never got a look at his face." "Why would a dark Jedi carry a sword?" Naomi paled. "Seriously, where'd you get the sword?" Naomi looked away and remained silent. "Did you steal it?" The reaction was instant. "No, well guess maybe, yeah," murmured Naomi. "Why?" "Because it's an Amachian artifact and those separatist bastards had no right to it," she yelled before revealing the sword. Naruto just stood there. "That's Orochimaru's sword, the blade's slightly damaged, but that's his sword," Naruto whispered to himself. Naruto frowned. What would the Separatists want with Orochimaru's Kusanagi sword, he thought. "Do you know how to use it?" asked Naruto. Sort of, I've been teaching myself," replied Naomi. "Ah, I have a sword of my own. Do you want to know how good you are?" Naomi blinked a few times. "Wait, are you asking if you can train me?" she asked. "Hi. Yes. Do you want to be trained how to use that sword properly?" Naomi nodded. Naruto smirked before speaking. "Let's get started. SW. CW. N. S. 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 So, X, who are we going after now?" asked a man in a shadowed cloak. Actually, I've recently acquired a proposal from Count Dooku. He would like me to be the new general of his droid army, and you to be my second in command. Spoke Zero X. His black armor somehow held a twisted glint, even in the shadows of the dark room they conversed in. And, asked the man. You're older than me. Though I calculate this to be an intelligent course of action, what would you propose? Asked Zero X. Go ahead, as long as I can get as many worthy sacrifices as possible, I'll be fine with it. Not much of an advisor, are you? If you want my honest advice, he's giving you a deal that sounds pretty fucking good. But, with all the shit that's happened so far and with Grievous kicking the fucking crap can, you should be cautious. And what of you? What of me? Asked the other man, a frightening glint in his violet eyes. My God guarantees immortality for sacrifices in his name. I can't die. I didn't die then. I'm not going to fucking die now. Speaking of, are you sure you don't want to convert? I'm pretty certain that I don't want to convert to your religion, Hedan. SW. CW. N. S. 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 Naomi's head was spinning. Why? Because she just found out she was talking with somebody that was several millions of years old. But that's not the only reason. He had kicked her ass in a spar in under a minute. Her current goal was to get past that. When she saw Naruto meditating, she had asked him why. Flashback. Naruto. Why are you just sitting on that rock? Asked Naomi. I'm concentrating. Said Naruto. About what? Not about something, on something. So what are you concentrating on? The Force. You mean that stuff the Jedi and Sith use? That floaty stuff. The Force isn't just that floaty stuff, it's the floaty stuff. Okay, seriously, what is the Force? Naruto sighed before he began speaking. You've been asking a lot of questions. Well, I wouldn't be asking questions if you just gave me a goddamned answer already. Alright. To understand the Force, you must understand chakra. So, I will tell you about both in one foul swoop. Naruto waited for Naomi to nod in understanding. The Force is what keeps everyone and everything alive. But, before my planet blew up, there was no Force. Instead, my planet gave off chakra, a mix of spiritual and physical energy, which the people on my planet were able to use to stay alive. Think of my planet as a big battery and the people acted as what was being charged. After Akatsuki, an evil organization, screwed everything up with their weapon, the chakra on the planet spread out all over the place. This created the Force. The Force is literally a combination of pure chakra, the light side, and demonic chakra, the dark side. This causes every person who is Force sensitive essentially a Jinchuriki, a powerful human sacrifice, a demon container. They have the ability to fall to either side of the spectrum. The remains of my planet grant people who are Force sensitive slightly greater strength. But if they've harnessed the chakra of the Force, they are monumentally stronger. So, I'm going to try to teach you how to use chakra, the real light side of the Force, so you can pretty much do whatever you want. So long as you don't violate certain rules, of course. Rules. Hi. Rules. What kind of rules? Rule 1. No asking stupid questions. If you don't know something, figure it out yourself. Naomi felt her eye twitch. Well, let's get back to training, said Naruto with a grin before looking at her. Naomi groaned. SW. CW. N. S. 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 Greetings, began Dooku politely before the man in the cloak, standing next to the armored soldier, spoke. Look, we both know each other's names. I just want to get this over with. So, here's the deal. You let me kill as many people as I want, and I'm in, he said. What my partner, Hedan, is trying to say is, started 0x before Hedan interrupted once more. Speaking of, do you have any intricate torture devices? I'd love to listen to them scream as I jab blunt objects under their skin, he trailed. 0x lifted his fist and smacked Hedan in the back of the head, knocking him to the ground. I'm willing to be your general and Hedan is willing to be my second in command on the condition that he is also head of torture, interrogation, hostage situations, and anything that may involve the blood of countless innocents in the name of his god, said 0x. Praise Jashin-sama, was Hedan's muffled cry as his face was still stuck on the metal floor. Dooku felt his eye twitch. This is your partner? He's completely out of his mind. He might be a little insane, but he gets the job done, explained 0x. Dooku paused and thought, weighing the pros and cons of the situation. On the one hand, he'd get the two immortals, leading his droid armies in Grievous's place. On the other hand, he'd have to deal with an overzealous religious fanatic that wanted to drain a rainbow of blood from thousands of species all across the galaxy. Wait, who says that's a con? Welcome to the Separatist Alliance, General X and, trailed Dooku. My name is Hidan, the galaxy's most loyal acolyte of Jashin Sama, said Hidan as he got up from the floor. His hood was down to reveal the pale skin of a face that couldn't have been older than 20. His eyes were an unholy violet and borderline red, and his silver hair was slicked back. Dooku took notice of the strange cloth wrapped around Hidan's neck with a metal plate and symbol on it, this one with a single scratch. His Jashin rosary hanged around his neck and lightly swung left and right. Dooku couldn't help but let out a small smile at his victory. The Separatists now had the two most dangerous people in the galaxy under their control. SW. CW. N. S. 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 That's all for this chapter. Sorry to disappoint anybody. Love for death. Sorry, no puppets. However, that is a very good idea and one worth taking into consideration for a later chapter. Geed Fallout. Sorry, no summoning. Naruto's planet held a pocket dimension powered by chakra from its core. When the planet went kaput, so did the ability to summon. However, summoning may appear in a later chapter. Knives 91. It's not that Naomi is insane, she's just got a personality that's like a mix between Enko's sadist behavior, Tsunade's gambling temper, Konohamaru's eagerness, and Naruto's hyperactiveness. Shadows Iranian. Well, we all know that while Kyuubi was on his way to Konoha, he passed through Uzu no Kuni, land of whirlpools. My position is that it's impossible to completely wipe something out in the Naruto world and that there are always survivors that are dealt with only after the fact. Kimimaro, Haku, Renmara, Sasuke, Itachi, Madara, is it really that far-fetched? My position is that somebody who could just as easily been Kushina's, Naruto's mom's, sister survived and had kids. Naomi's last name is created when combining Uzu and Kuni. OBSERVER01. Sorry, no HK47. Though, he is a fun character. I especially like his definition of love. I pity the fool that invokes his hate. That's all I've got for now, so, until later. The end. Thanks for watching. Also remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.